So, who knows what their passion is? Who knows what their purpose is? Anyone here? It's all right if you don't. The next question is, are you prepared to pay the price to see your passion through? And most of you will probably be able to meet your goal. The reason you won't is because the price will become too high and you decide to back out. So, on that happy note, I'll go on to how I founded the Happy Cow Milk Company. So before we talk about that, New Zealand's dairy farmers get a bit of a bad rap. We do hassle them a fair bit, but on a global scale, New Zealand dairy farmers are the most sustainable dairy farmers in the world. And give you a quick example. If you milked a cow, made the milk into a block of cheese, shipped that cheese to England, that block will have half the carbon footprint of a block of cheese made in the UK. That's because our farmers and their pasture-based systems are such low impact. But I think we can do better. And I think that New Zealand needs to be the leaders in ethical and sustainable dairy farming. And that's what the Happy Cow Milk Company is all about. So first starts off with calves. For a cow to produce milk, she has to have a calf every single year. And calves are removed from their mothers at birth, and farmers keep about 25% of those calves, and the rest will go on and are slaughtered at about 4 days of age. That's not a very good story. And at the Happy Cow, we wanted to solve that problem. The next problem is the plastic milk bottle. About 70% of plastic milk bottles go to landfill, and they're not recycled at all. So we wanted to, we'll get to the bottom of that. Now this wee little guy here is Barney. He's about 2 days old when this video was taken. And when our cows calve, we just leave our calves with their mothers. And there he goes, look at him trotting away. Now if you can imagine Barney, or if you say to a dairy farmer, why don't you just leave your calves with their mothers like Glenn does? And if you just look at him, he's sort of pretty fragile. Basically that's a cow shed. And that's about $1 million, $1.5 million. And if you can think of Barney and his friends in that yard with their mums, they'd get squashed. So that's why dairy farmers say we can't leave our calves with their mothers, because when their mothers go to get milked, they'll get squashed. The next thing is that cows walk to the cow shed. So it's a bit hard to ask Barney to walk 2 kilometres to the cow shed and then walk back again and then do that twice a day. So what we've had to do is create a whole new way of milking cows, basically. So instead of the cows walking to the cow shed, we take the cow shed to the cows. And that way, well, hey, it's easier said than done. But, and what we do is we round the cows up, put them in a little fence around there, and you can see the calves there. They just hang out, wait for mum to get milked. She walks off the front of the trailer and goes back to their calf. But the point I wanted to make is, it seems really simple, just one little thing, leave your calves with their mothers, and you don't think that that's a big change. But to actually make that happen, you've got to change the cow shed and the whole way farms are farmed, or dairy farms operate in New Zealand. So you can see why farmers don't do it, because if you've just spent $1 million on a cow shed, you're not going to go and fork out for one of these janky little trailers just to do that. And that's why we don't have mobile milking, and why we don't have calves stay with their mothers. The next thing is glass bottles. We can say, well, let's just put milk in a glass bottle. There's plastic and there's glass. Well, it doesn't work like that either, because milk factories, there's only a handful of them in New Zealand, have spent mega bucks putting these really efficient milk bottling lines, and you can't just go and replace the bottle, because they have to change everything. And as a result, you don't get glass bottles. So I made my own milk factory. That's a milk factory, by the way. It's a very small one. And that's Denise, she's the inspector. So we ended up having to process our own milk, or pasteurise our own milk, make our own bottling line, so that we can bottle milk in glass bottles. And the way we did it was we would go to the supermarkets, and you'd buy a bottle of milk for like $8. And then you'd drink the milk, you'd take the empty bottle back and you'd give it to the supermarket, and they'd give you a $4 credit when you bought your new bottle. So basically reusable bottles. The problem with that is, have you ever given anything to the checkout person when you've bought something? It's not really the thing you do at supermarkets. Supermarkets aren't set up to take stuff back from you. The accounting systems, the distribution systems, all the back end, the automated systems for supermarkets aren't set up to account for a reusable milk bottle in the credits. Oh, I'll come back to that. That's the next slide. That's the bit where I say, do it when you're young. So what the point I'm trying to make here is that you want to go and change the way you farm. The system changes to do a small little thing is so big that it doesn't happen. We go to try and do it when we bottle milk, to put it into a glass bottle. And again, the systems and the changes are required are so big that we have to go and do it ourselves. And then you get that and you get into the supermarkets, and again, the systems for the supermarkets and everything is still too big and it's all set up a certain way. So now we have to go and set up a whole new way of getting milk to customers. So we're working on a system where we can have reusable milk bottles, and you can go and exchange, or you can get milk without having to use plastic. Just to go a bit further on the bottle, the glass bottle is uses about 10 times more emissions than a plastic bottle. So a single-use glass bottle is actually worse than a plastic bottle. So single-use beer bottles and things like that, you have to really use a glass bottle about 10 times before it has the same environmental impact as a plastic bottle. And then if you use it 20 times, 30 times, the average milk bottle in America, reusable milk bottle in America is used 50 times, and we've got bottles that are being used 200 times. So that's really how we need to start thinking about packaging as single-use plastic, but it means this whole systems thinking has to be designed from the start, and you have to design every single aspect of it. So that's what we're doing at Happy Cow Milk Company. Now, the point I'm going to make is, do it when you're young. Start when you're young, because when you get old, like me, you have far more responsibilities. And the point I'm going to make is that it's really easy to have an idea. It's really easy to get really passionate. And it's really easy to look cool when you're Instagramming yourself and everyone's telling you how great you are. But the fact is that's not really what it's about. And if you ask professional sports people, or someone who joins the SAS or the Navy SEALs or whatever it is, or gets somewhere in academia, PhD studies and things like that, it's actually really hard work that no one actually notices, that no one sees. No one sees you at 2 a.m. in the morning. No one sees you when it's hard. No one sees you out in the rain and doing that sort of stuff. And occasionally you get to come and talk to people and jump in front of a camera. But that's not really what it's about, whether you're innovating or whether you're fighting for your cause. And at that point, you have to start thinking about other things in your life. Are you prepared to sacrifice your weekends to do your goal? Are you prepared to sacrifice relationships sometimes? Are you prepared to not travel? Are you prepared to not follow that other career opportunity? Because you've got plenty of options. And if you're going to go and sit and do something and actually make a difference, like something that's really going to make an actual difference, it's going to be really, really hard. And you need to have people behind you and supporting you. And maybe you're not the person to do it. Maybe you don't want to be the person up the front leading the charge. But what people need is they need someone beside you. And I think that's the biggest problem I've had, is lots of people want to help, and lots of people want to tell you they're helping and tell you how wonderful they are for helping you and Instagram themselves. But who's going to be there at 2 a.m. bottling milk, or those sorts of things? And that's the person that you could be. So if you don't want to be that person, forget the limelight, because it's not about the limelight, and it's about actually being there next to someone who's actually doing something. And if you can back that person and you can always be there, then, well, that's the thing that makes a difference. So I think that's my story.